Do you think as women, sometimes we have to play small to win bigger?
As much as I hate to admit this, yes.
I think I'll put it very bluntly, and maybe my answer is slightly different.
But there is a constant calibration that the women are
Absolutely.
doing.
That you can always rule the world with a whisper.
So as an individual, you cannot outsource your writing and your thinking to AI.
Hi everyone, welcome to Build with Shreya, where ideas and stories inspire you to build something extraordinary. And today we have a very different concept that we're doing the first time. It's called the Ladies' Room, and we're sort of bringing diverse perspectives from these young ladies who are at the different journey of their career right now. And with that, we're also doing a very interesting activity, which is resin art, coaster, and bookmark making. So let's dive right in and let's sort of enjoy this while we have these fun conversations. And so with us today, we have Ananya, who represents the corporate perspective, and she's working with a Big Four consulting firm. Then we have Kritika, who represents a pharmaceutical company who manufactures soft gels, capsules, and medicines. And then we have Aanchal, who comes from the medical device manufacturing company and is a fourth generation in her company as well. And then we have Ishani, who is growing a startup called LYNQ that is doing scalable training for sales agents across the finance domain. So let's get started. We will be doing this little cute workshop here as well as we do our podcast. So let me give you some instructions while we do it. Each of us can pick up a color that we want to mix in our resin. So Ishani, which color do you want to pick?
I'll pick purple.
Purple. Okay. So that's purple.
Got it.
Anchal,
Blue. Thank you.
Ananya.
The shimmery white, please. Thank you.
And I'll tell you which one we need next. Metallic wild purple.
Yeah.
So this is a liquid one, so you can just squeeze it a little and so we've done our messy beginnings, mixing the resin and getting and picking our favorite colors. If I want to ask you a question, if I were to remove everything from your LinkedIn, okay, how did it actually start for you guys? How did your journey start? Anybody can start. That's fine. Yeah.
I think where it all started for me was in school, to be very honest. I was always considered to be, I guess a misfit when I was in school. And at the same time, I discovered this very interesting thing about myself. Like, for example, I was very good at Monopoly and playing board games and, doing all of that. I was horrible at math. I used to get the worst marks. And then when it comes to science as well, right? Like, I used to watch all these science fiction movies. I used to go crazy over them. I used to get the worst marks in like chemistry, biology, physics. I never used to perform well. And then I realized that the main reason why I never used to perform well was because I used to hate complicated things. And all those books were like black and white and it's like really, really complicated. So then I realized that, I had this really interesting way of simplifying complex things. And that's where I always realized that, okay, I want to do something different in life. And that's where I guess, like, it all started. That was like, my passion that, that where it really came from, that, okay, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to perhaps break this idea that why can't quality education be given to maybe a girl like me who has a different way of thinking. And
So I think that gives me an idea. I feel, and I think I personally resonate as well, that most of the things we start, they are seeded in our struggles. Let's say, like Ishani, you struggled with the traditional way of educating yourself. You didn't resonate with how you saw education or visualize education, and then you sort of went ahead and said, you know what, this is a problem, and I want to solve for that. Your struggles are the first seed to the kind of things you know want to solve for in your life, and you sort of make it your purpose also. But with that, Ananya,
Yeah, so I differ from Ishani's perspective a little bit, because for me, school, I was what you would consider a good student, but for me, school was just studies, games, friends, and that's where it ended. It's only when you step out into the real world where you start assessing, okay, what do I want to do in life? Which area do I want to work in? What excites me? What am I curious about? So that started not even when I did my bachelor's, because bachelor's was just, school in a more fun way. But it started when I started stepping out for internships. And in internships, the thing is that you're trying to figure out and solve real world problems. And so nobody is there to help you out like your friends would help in school, or your teachers would say, okay, let me explain this to you again. Whereas when you're stepping out into the real world, you have real problems to solve, and nobody is going to back you. The kind of support you have in school or college, that support does not exist. So that's where I started seeing, okay, this is maybe something that excites me. This is something that even if nobody was there to help me, I can figure it out, and I would enjoy doing it, enjoy figuring it out. So that's where my curiosity and my journey took me.
yeah, so I think yours is more like doing everything by the book, doing everything perfectly, and being like, what next?
Yeah,
I,
precisely. Yeah.
I love how there is so much of you.
That's why
Love
it's so
it.
interesting to bring all of these perspectives together,
Yeah.
because they're drastically different, and at the same time they are taking us towards having a common objective, which is to see how we can thrive in this world, as far as the professions are concerned, as well as far as we show up in our lives and build something meaningful in our own ways. So with that, Kritika.
So for me in school, I was very clear that I had to take up science as my mainstream subject, and then yes, seeing my father also set up the pharmaceutical industry definitely developed an interest for me to medicines. So that was always that I wanted to do and pursue. And then coming to the LinkedIn, my LinkedIn actually came after I entered the firm. So for me, I wouldn't call it a struggle. So for me, it was like going to a already established institution. It was like the first day of a school or a college to enter into my workplace, if I particularly talk about that. So it was like stepping into something which was already established. So for me to adjust into that environment, I can call it a struggle, yes, that how I'm going to adjust in that already established firm. But I was very clear headed about, entering into the medical line and pursuing what was already being set up by my father, and be in his footsteps, follow his footsteps, rather I would say.
Anju.
So, since Kritika and I both are from a family business background, there are overlaps. But for me, I think being part of the family business was never something that was an immediate goal. It was always something that maybe I'll work for 3-4 years after university, get some work ex, enjoy my life, and then join the grind. However, somewhere I feel subconsciously, because I'm the fourth generation, every dinner, every family vacation, every family get together, we will be talking medical devices, diagnostics, blood bags, dialysis, and just subconsciously I knew I wanted to be part of it. I It was only when I actually joined the business, that I realized that, oh, I actually wanted to be part of it.
So what I understand from both of your perspectives, Kritika and Anchal, is that your environment already had a vision of what is there, and you subconsciously aligned with that, whether it is, it took you some time to prepare yourself to align with that, or it didn't, and you directly jumped into that. But there was this, okay, this is what it is, and I like what this is, and I want to do this, but I want to prepare myself.
I've been very close to my grandfather and I idolize him. So I always wanted to be in something. I always wanted to do what he is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was more of an aspiration, I would say. Just a girl who wants to do what Dadu does.
Also, like probably an ideal.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you admired him for what he did, what he
Yeah.
stood for, and so that sort of became your North Star.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Kritika, you briefly touched upon, sort of going into something existing. And so, my next question is around how was it like, like going into something existing? And I'm sure, like for others, it might not be the same as, they probably step into something completely new. So, I want to get your perspective around that.
Now there are some people say that, अरे तुम तो पापा के काम पे हो, how difficult can it be? But this is something that we need to understand कि पापा के काम में है, that is on the whole making it more difficult, because you have to keep up to that expectation, that legacy that is already being set. So there is a lot of pressure on us also, that we don't go wrong with what has already been established. We need to bring our new innovative ideas, but not to sabotage the old ones also, keeping that in mind.
And how did you go about that? Making your place, into something that was already functioning.
I think gradually it has been a learning process. I'll still say that I'm still learning and I've not completely made my place. So every day is I'm learning something new, either from my team or from my dad or from my uncles involved. So it's a learning process.
And so when you talk about learning every day, did you have a certain strategy in mind? Okay, like I want to first learn about the demand itself, like business, or I want to first understand the technical aspect of the business. How did you approach learning things in your business?
So in my case, since I was already from a pharma background, I have done my bachelor's, my master's, everything in pharma. So I had a knowledge about all the medicines and what all, how are we manufacturing when we sell different APIs and all. So I wanted to venture myself into marketing. That wasn't my field. So I initially started in the marketing team. So how to deal with the customers and how my
So more like a top down.
yeah.
That let me understand the market.
Market.
Let me understand, how you win, because that's ultimately where the intersection is happening between your business and the world outside. And then you sort of took it
Something that I haven't studied about, so I ventured into that first rather
Okay.
than venturing into something that I already know.
Got it. Anchal, what was it like for you?
It was actually very different from Kritika. I was not very smart when I was 22 and I was very directionless. I think there was always that aspect where I had held it, almost treated it like some sanctuary or a temple, almost like a sacred place. And I was very scared to like besmirch it. And I think I froze. I actually froze because I didn't know what to do. It somehow with time I started trying to figure out where is it that I can help, and I'm still building up from there. Ishani, I think it will be very different for you since it's like
It was, oh, absolutely. It was something new, and I think that the whole journey was so new to me that it kind of changed my whole personality, or perhaps developed new ones in the process. So I think and a like different analogy to kind of think about this is that, have you seen that movie Laksh? That movie where I think there's a scene where Hrithik Roshan is like creating a plan for all his team, and he has to like climb up the mountain and the wall, and he has to like actually do that single-handedly without any ropes and strings, because he's making the path, and then his team would follow. So it was very similar for me for that reason, mainly because Link is a unique idea. It's like you're merging learning with sales intelligence. So I'm trying to tell somebody that no, if you create engaging content, if you create something engaging, it will have a direct effect on the ROI. So over there, it's very difficult to educate like a lot of people, because people don't really, like, let's be very honest, in like some areas they don't really believe that. They want a lot of research to prove that. So for that reason, it was really tough for me in the beginning, and that's where I think it's very important to use the word leverage and how you use it. I feel like it's like how you have like different, when you're playing cards, you have your own set of cards, and it's up to you how you use your set of cards. And that's where when Kritika was talking about the perspective of going into your dad's business and everything like that. But like that's where I would also like to come in and say that when I started, I still had support from people around me who had contacts, who had connects, and a lot of people would come up to me that, okay, but you've got this on a platter, you've already got this, so it's okay, it's not like you had it easy for you to build something like this. But that's when I kind of come in and see that, this is where the whole idea is, like, if you have certain cards, you have certain advantages, use them. There's nothing wrong with that. I think we need to normalize that.
So Nanya?
Right. So, building up on what Ishani said, for me, working with the corporate and the government sector simultaneously, the systems and the processes already exist, right? So think of it as a massive jigsaw puzzle where you think you're the last piece. So everything is set up and you're just trying to place yourself somewhere in the system. Now, when you're trying to place yourself somewhere in the system, I do come from a background where my parents have been in the corporate field, so I had a little bit of help from them. I did study for the government exams at one point, so I had a little bit of prep from there. But every newcomer coming into this big giant jigsaw puzzle thinks they're the last piece, So everybody's just trying to fit themselves into that massive picture, but it's just how you interact with people, the network you make, the relationships you build. All of those help you kind of place yourself in rooms and in systems that are actually existent already, but the playbook and the process that you're operating with, that is something that you individually have to come up with.
Right. So I think from everybody's perspective, also like just taking it all together, I feel everybody is sort of going into an already existing system, but with a different problem statement. Maybe if some of you already know that this is the problem statement that you will be working with, and then the methodology of how you approach it might still be new, and then some of you are sort of, even looking at new ways of saying, okay, these are XYZ problem statements, and which one to pick or which one to start with, or sort of seeing from a big jigsaw puzzle which piece is that you would represent and how you would fit in which area. So I think it is sort of a new way for everyone going into an existing system, just the perspectives are a little different. Okay. So with that, we have come to end or a pause for a messy beginnings. So now we are going to move to our pour section, and I'm going to do a sample coaster here to show you like how the pouring can be done and what kind of designs can be created. And as you saw this, with each color that I was pouring, there's a bit of a vision that how much do I pour, and then controlling my pour. So I just want to know, about that one decision that changed you as a person, not just professionally, it could be personally as well, but that one decision.
I'd like to take lead on this.
Go ahead.
It is such an understated principle to live by, but not to be afraid, to be courageous in any room you walk into. I think that changed the game for me. Initially, I was always, when I needed information from somebody, I would always talk to the person who was closest to my, say, designation or my level. And then that would take me longer and it would give me very limited information. But when you start thinking that, okay, I don't have anything to fear. I can speak to the higher levels in the hierarchy. And then you talk to them and you just realize it was a light bulb moment for me that, this is not like talking to the principal of your school. This is just another person who's also part of this whole system, who's been through the journey that you're in today, and they have tackled the same problems. They have probably won some of these problems. They have learned and have something to share. So approaching people who are higher up in the entire ladder, not being afraid to talk to them about your problems, thinking many times what happens is we think of our problems as very minute. This is such a small problem. Why will I go to somebody as big as, say, the head of the company or, 4 levels up to ask him such a simple, but he might have a profound way of looking at it that may really help you. So don't be afraid in any room that you're in. I think that's the one decision I made and I stick by every single day. It is a decision I still have to consciously make every single day. But that's been a game changer for me.
That was like really well said, Ananya, because I struggle with the same thing as a founder. And I think it requires a lot of mental stimulus as well, because you have to like break patterns. And something for me, like, a decision that I had to take that changed my whole life was actually coming back to my country from London. So, for those who all know me as well, they know that I'm obsessed with, London's Covent Gardens and everything. I keep on talking about it and fangirling over it. So at one point, Shreya, I always thought that I go to London, I'm going to go there, I will settle there, and that's going to be my life. Mm-hmm. And, when I discovered LYNQ and I saw that, wow, the opportunity is actually not perhaps in that country, but somewhere else, it took a toll on me. It's like, oh, wow, that means that I have to actually go back. Mm-hmm. And that was and it took a toll on my mental health because I was really attached to that place. But once I started breaking that pattern and seeing that, no, but you can also establish your own life in a different country, which can perhaps take you to multiple countries. Then my perspective changed. And then when I made that decision, I think that I started learning how to become a stronger person. That's why. So I think that was my take.
I could resonate so much with the coming back from London because for me, it had been leaving Singapore. Yeah. I actually, as compared to my original plan of working for a few years, I remember I was sitting during an interview. I was actually applying for jobs, and the interviewer was just talking about some JD at that point, and I knew I had got the job at that point. But I was listening to it and I thought, I don't want to work in my degree. I think that for me had been a very scary realization, especially because I was in the middle of an interview. I remember I hung up.
Yeah.
But I remember I cut the call and I called home and I said, I don't see myself staying in this country or staying in a job. And my dad said, okay, come back home. And I came back home and it was hard because I had built an entire life for me in Singapore. The way she is obsessed about London, I am still obsessed with Singapore. And I think because we were part of the COVID batch, somehow my batchmates there had become home away from home. So it was almost like I was leaving my family all over again. So that did break me a lot. But I think it's also helped me become a better person. Yeah.
So in my case, it's like the decision that changed me was to trust my own decisions.
We've all been in that mode sometime or the other.
It's more like follow your instincts and learn to trust your own decisions and learn to get them implemented also. And so that is one thing that has made me even stronger, that no, my decision is right and it needs to be followed. So because there are people around you who try to influence your decision, they think that maybe you are an amateur, you don't know much about it, and then you tend to, go with the flow that okay, he's saying that do it this way, don't do it that way. But eventually, with time, I have learned that learn to trust your decisions and get them implemented and see what the outcome is.
And I think from what it looks like while you learn to trust your decisions, you probably also had to choose between being liked or being respected. So how did that look like for you?
See, being liked or being respected, that depends on the person you're dealing with. Now, not everyone can like you, not everyone can respect you, but I personally try to be around people who have good energy, good positive vibes. There might be some difference of opinion with people around you, but I don't think that should hamper being respected or being liked in a certain way. So it should be a very friendly and a cordial conversation, be it at home or at your workplace. So respect and being liked is not a choice. It should be given to everyone at every place, be it wherever they are.
I have a very simple answer for this, which is दोनों ही important है, ठीक है? Being liked, everybody likes, who doesn't like being liked? And being respected, again, something that everybody aims for in life. अब आप सारा टाइम ये सोच के चलोगे कि भाई I want to ensure that I'm liked all the time.
Yeah.
Do you like everybody at all times? No. So similarly, you can't be liked all the time. There are going to be decisions you make, things you say that some people will agree with, some people won't. So if you focus or aim towards being liked all the time, then you're not going to be respected. And if you're constantly thinking ki nahi bhai, I want to be respected all the time, then people won't want to work with you, because the basic funda is that anybody who wants to work with you, and at the end of the day, any industry, any service line, anything is just people. Your connections, your network, your people management skills. So if you are aiming to be respected all the time, then people might not like you. So there has to be a very nuanced balance between the two, and you have to ensure that okay, I hope I'm not compromising on my morals and I'm not compromising on integrity just to be liked or just to be respected. So there has to be that balance.
I love that answer.
That's actually
Yeah,
really
yeah,
beautiful. That is such a beautiful answer. And I think to add to that, one thing that I've also started learning is that I also like, this is a beautiful question, like to be liked or disliked. As someone who's been an overthinker, right? You always would always say, does she really like me? Or what is she thinking about me? Or what is he thinking about me? Am I doing it right? And what happens in the process is that your end goal, like what you were there, why, the reason you were there, it gets fluctuated in a way. So I think that what I started doing, and something that really helps me, is that whenever I'm talking to someone as well, I would also look at, the end goal as well. What is this really important for? Where is this helping me? Is it helping me help with my relationships as well, in growing my relationships, or with my career, or, what exactly, how is it adding value to my personal self as well? When I started doing that, then I started also learning where exactly I'm supposed to detach from my emotions and when I'm supposed to, honor them. So I think that's, because it is a very beautiful question, that would be my take on it.
I think I'll put it very bluntly, and maybe my answer is slightly different. But if I had to choose between being liked without being respected or being respected without being liked, I'll choose the latter. Because I just don't understand how can someone like someone when they don't respect them. So that's it.
We are dealing in a world where it's quite diverse, right? So do you think as women sometimes we have to play small to win bigger? What's your take on that?
That's a beautiful question. And I think coming back to my previous answer, it is more so than men, yes. As much as I hate to admit this, yes, women sometimes do have to, play small, just because a lot of people in the higher up authorities happen to be men, just because, we have lesser women in the labor force. But not all men are, or not. I'm not just going to talk about men. People don't know how to be effective leaders, right? So sometimes, just to get your point across, if a woman comes across with her point very authoritatively, then unless she has those facts and figures, and even then she's, the way she approaches a problem, if she's coming at it in a very authoritative way, then most likely chances are that she's going to be, her proposal or her thoughts are going to be dismissed for whatever reason, and they will openly never tell you, and this is just a general observation about people who I have interacted with, nothing to do with any specific field. But being a woman also means that you bring in that um, calmness and intuition into decisions. And sometimes that may involve playing small, but by no means should it mean being disrespected. So I think that is a difference that has to be carefully thought
But
of.
there is a constant calibration that the women are
Absolutely.
doing. Okay, like how do I say this?
Yeah.
How do I approach
It's
this?
a massive ego stroking
Yeah.
game, right?
Okay.
You cannot hurt people up who are in the higher authorities, up in the hierarchy. Sometimes it so happens, even for women bosses, uh, either way. I mean, if it comes at the cost of you feeling disrespected, then no, you should not. But at any point, I unfortunately will have to agree with you that yes, women sometimes have to play small just to be able to get things done in a particular way. It is the sad truth, but unfortunately, that's how things are in today's world.
I have a mixed perspective on this. Actually, I think that it also it also of course depends on the context that you're talking about. But I mean, to add to Ananya's point, I think that one thing that I've kind of noticed is that when I was growing up as well, I was a very quiet, meek. I would talk very softly, and a lot of people would be like, "Ishani, awaaz nahi aa rahi. I'm unable to understand what you're saying." Is speaking very quietly and very softly. It's so funny, Shreya. Those have become the most powerful weapons that I'm using in my sales journey. And I think that that's the idea, to kind of showcase that, feminine energy and feminine power is actually like a remarkable kind of I guess like research concept as well. Whenever I have, like Ananya was talking about, whenever I have been very soft in my approach when I'm talking to people, I'm very calm, very composed. I'm not like gambling and talking very authoritatively. Like, people actually feel more comfortable, and they're able to understand my perspective as well at the same time. And I'm also coming from a point of view to say that I'm a founder, and yes, I don't have any I don't have a family business as such, but I'm working with a lot of men. Even in my team, we they're like majority are like the male people, and as well as my clients, majorly I'm working with men. But one thing that I've realized is that, yeah, if you go with a soft approach, if you go with a good perspective, if you're a positive individual, they absolutely hear your voice, and they are happy to support you, and they're happy to actually make you a stronger woman. So yes, I do agree, at times I do have to sometimes play small, but I feel like it's actually better, in the long run, because what really happens is that I'm not shouting, I'm not really taking a lot of my energy to do something, because I have that soft nature in myself, and I really appreciate it.
I have a very different perspective on this. So I would say that I never had to feel small or low. I was very authoritative. And this credit also, I think, I would like to give it to my father again because, even though I have a younger brother at home, he always keeps saying कि ये मेरी बेटी नहीं है, मेरा बेटा ही है. Since I was the elder one. So I've been seeing him, I've been working with him, I've been doing all the stuff that a father does. Maybe the son, he has been doing it to me also, like, going on drives or whatever, small activities. So, the values that he has inculcated in me. So, I feel that he has never, he's like, even if you feel that, as a girl, you are being shut somewhere, don't be quiet about it. Try to, raise your voice. But frankly, I haven't faced any such situation. Everybody has been very nice around. So I have not come across any such situations where I had to, actually face any blunt decision for being a woman.
So I think what we're talking about is like situations where we need to sort of hold our ground. And so what becomes essential in that case is how do we ensure that we're not becoming what we are not. So for example, if Ishani says that I have that soft nature, and that's how I like to approach things. And Ananya, as you said, like women sometimes they have to sort of choose a softer path to get things the way they want. So how do you hold your ground, you know, without becoming not soft,
So I don't think so. Of course, there's a very different way you can approach it. If you want to hold your ground, you can hold your ground. I'm not saying that if supposing, like, I have a project I have to work on and there's somebody in my team who's delaying things. Now, if I shout, what's going to happen? It's going to worsen the situation. But if supposing I can tell my team that, listen, if it's not delivered by this time, this is going to be a repercussion. Now, I am authoritative. I didn't shout. I didn't give a whole lecture. I just stated facts that agar ye nahi hoga. Like, you will not be able to get what you want, basically. So, like, over here, I have been authoritative, but at the same time, I've been soft. So I feel like you can absolutely be authoritative and hold your ground. I mean, that's how, I've studied history and I've seen that, like, that's how queens and, like, different princesses and everything like that, you will notice that they never screamed or shouted so much. It's always very gentle. And that's why I love this quote. I think I read it somewhere that you can always rule the world, rule the world with a whisper.
So, as you talked about different areas of frustration in, your industries, how do you think with technology today we can solve for that, and also not only solve for that, but leapfrog from where our industries are today to where they could be?
I would I would love to start with this. I think technology for me has worked, and also, like, I know we're going to start also talking about AI as well, but I think that technology in my space has been a game changer, mainly because of the fact that it's really helped me scale. Like I talked about the fact that, if you want to perhaps deliver, quality education to somebody who's sitting, who doesn't have accessibility to that quality education, technology kind of becomes that way of connecting one thing to another in a less shorter period of time than what traditional, like, periods of time would account for. So I feel like technology has really helped me in that space. And at the same time, when it also comes to perhaps, like, I'm really proud to also say that we have a team of just maybe 5 to 6 people, and we've leveraged technology and AI in such a way that we don't actually need more people anymore. because the 5 people who are adding so much of value, right? They also know how to leverage that technology very effectively. So you can, if I feel like if you're able to leverage technology in the right way, of course with human input involved, you can really make your systems extremely efficient. And I think it can really save a lot of time for the founder and for the team. And the team just ends up working on things that they're amazing at. So that's how technology has worked in my space.
So, in the government and public services sector, consulting space, there is a very recent use of technology that we are seeing. Still at a very nascent stage, there is a long, long way to go. But there are a lot of places where technology can really help, especially where it is, say, for example, the identification of beneficiaries, authentication of the beneficiaries, especially to ensure that the intended benefit reaches the actual person we are trying to help out. And just in general, any routine work that does not involve decision making, that does not involve anything that has core public impact, those places, I think technology has a long way to go, but it will definitely help.
In the case of healthcare, we are actually seeing an entire new industry of AI in healthcare. So that's definitely one thing that is going to change a lot of things in the future. It's not just your insurance claims processing that Ananya mentioned. It's also through terms of training. You've got VR-based training systems now. You've also got AI-based diagnostics. Healthcare is in a very different space right now.
I think same for the pharma industry. I wouldn't say that we can completely rely on the tech. So maybe some processes that include the manufacturing can be automated, or the warehousing can have a barcoding system with the technology. But again, when it comes to the quality of the medicines, I think it's better if we have the human inputs telling us the quality of the medicines rather than any tech. So that's my point of view.
So, like, as you touched upon the different AI solutions that are also sort of coming in the healthcare industry and also around the human aspect or the importance of human aspect. My question is, with AI coming into the picture, do you think it is really making us sharper, or it is becoming something we are more co-dependent on in terms of even to the point of replacing humans? And if we talk about your specific industries, do you think there are certain parts of it that absolutely should not be, the human should not be replaced, how much ever advanced tech gets?
I'll take this first. So there were two parts, right? The first was what should not be touched, what is sacred, and the second part was what AI can do and what it should not do. So for the first one, AI has been doing a lot. We are seeing it in diagnostics. As I said, today you have got radiology labs that can be run completely with just a AI system. However, what Kritika said and Ananya also said, you can't remove the human from it. My thought has always been that the doctors we have been trained over years to identify an issue at a glance. AI can do that, yes, but AI may not know what is an exception and what's a normal observation. Sorry. So that human instinct built over years, that's something that only a trained doctor can do. A very well trained doctor. They have empathy, they have the experience, they are actually part of the care in healthcare. So that I think covers both what it can do and what it cannot do. Another aspect I feel, just as an individual, you cannot outsource your writing and your thinking to AI. I feel that writing is a form of thinking because you're fine tuning your thoughts when you write. And the minute you outsource that to AI, it's gone.
And I think I love what you were talking about, Anchal, because honestly, I mean, when I went to school, I also studied AI, and this is like a consensus that we also came to as well. That things that are kind of human power in this case cannot be, completely replaced by AI. And I say this because, like, for example, judgment and intuition, like Anchal was also touching upon, is super important in business as well. And I feel like if supposing I go on Chat GPT or if I go on Gemini and I say that, okay, what's your take on this person? That most I mean, in most case scenarios, that AI won't be able to decipher the right way to speak to that individual. I mean, I've done it a bunch of times. I'm like, how do I talk to this individual, in this industry? What's the best way? And the AI would usually, provide a script. And it's like really, sometimes I feel like, oh wow, that's like really bold to say to someone who's like perhaps really senior to you. And I feel like, a lot of the data that, we are using on the, LLMs like Chat GPT is also not backed by real time data as well. Like the data is kind of, it gets processed. It might be a year old, or it might be a few months old. And we need to also realize that the market is moving at a really fast pace. So sometimes what the AI is telling you around judgment and around thinking wouldn't be as per the real time data or as per what you're exactly looking at. So I would never ever delegate really, like, difficult decision making and judgment or intuition to an AI, because that would take much faster. But how I would approach it is that if you want to work with AI, it can absolutely shorten your time, and it can absolutely act as a great, uh, you know, uh, you know, kind of weapon if you use it the right way. If you focus on what your superpowers are, and you know what you're good at. Let's say Anchal is really good at thinking or writing. She should never use Claude or like GPT constantly to be like, okay, like write for me, because Anchal is like, perfect at that. But for something that requires really routine tasks to do or something like that, I would use I would think that, yeah, you can use AI for that. For there are different ways that you can prompt the AI to ensure that your superpower goes unattached, and you can still deliver and distribute what you're trying to say to a lot of people. That's where I feel AI can really come in. So I think it's like a partnership. It's just understanding the partnership. That's what's taking a lot of time.
Okay, so building on what Ishani said, I completely agree with what she's saying. I think there are certain factors that make human beings, and I think AI is just not ready to step into the human being's shoes, yet. So anything having any decision making ability, anything having to do with ethics, anything having to do with morals, anything having to do with intuition, all of these decisions should be ideally made by humans, because AI at this point is not trained to be able to handle such nuanced and complicated perspectives. It cannot analyze behavior, mindset as well as probably a human being could. So right now, I think the stage of development in AI that we're in, I don't think AI is ready to take on a human's responsibilities.
I think what Ananya said, I would totally agree with her because, again, when it comes to the medical field, it involves a lot of emotions and patient counseling to satisfy them with the treatment that they're being provided with is actually going to work in their favors, benefit. They need to trust their doctors. So this counseling and this emotional part can only be coming from a human input and not from an AI. So I think there has to be a balance between the two, between the if used wisely, and complete dependency on anything is actually bad. So excess of anything is bad. So I think there needs to be a balance between how we use AI and how we are, having humans also to work in the same. How are they going to work together? We need to devise a method for that. I think so that each one has their own, AI has its own part to play and the humans have their own part to play.
Yeah, so I think there needs to be a SOP for this one.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a bunch of innovative women here, and so if you were to build something together, what would you build, and what would you choose to solve?
So we've got medical, devices and pharma. We've got government sector, solutions, policy level, and we've got training. Hmm.
And we've got technology.
Of course, that brings it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one because the minute I saw that question, it had been on my mind.
Go for it.
And I have actually had separate independent conversations about it with quite a few of you over the past few months.
Hmm.
We spoke about awareness and we spoke about the need for ground level action. Awareness is coming from like here. Ground level action is coming from here. And the technology that scales it together comes here.
Yeah.
Comes from here. And any documents that you need, we'll give. Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, ready to do that.
So yeah, that was one. It had been on my mind.
Okay, so what would you call it?
The pharma training tech.
Yeah.
I don't know what do we call it, guys. It's actually very interesting.
Why would no? I just thought of what I wanted. What I'm going to call it.
I think the fact that we all come from such different
Diverse.
sectors, we can surely help each other in any problems that the other person is facing in their field. But what would we like to build together, and what we could call it is a longer conversation, and I think might not be answered in this podcast.
To be very honest, I feel, Ananya, we've already built it. This podcast.
That's well said. That's well said.
Yeah, because I think that I was just reading somewhere that there is always unity in diversity. And the fact that we all kind of came together and at least we're sitting on one table already talks about the fact that at least when this podcast is viewed to so many different people, they understand how powerful diversity is and how powerful inclusion is as well. And I definitely think that and because we're so innovative, I'm sure that in the future we will most probably at some point would be working together. And I think that I think all of us, we keep on talking about, I've had so many conversations with Shreya on technology and AI, and then so many conversations with Kritika on health and on pharma, as well as Aanchal as well, and with you as well. I know that we keep on having so many conversations around it. So I think that, we already built something which was this podcast, and then the next thing can be something even more fantastic, and I really look forward to it because I know it's going to happen.
But I think to bring all of us together, so we should go out of our fields, and I think let's just open up a nice, cute cafe.
Oh yeah.
That's an idea I like.
I think that would be the best.
So with that, we've come to an end of our ladies' room special for Build with Shreya. If you are somebody who is an enthusiast in technology and wants to build new solutions and solve for different industries, make sure to like,
Comment.
Subscribe.
Please do whatever they said.
I love that.